Be in Des Moines today and announce the over 1,500 women caucus goers who are supporting me in the Iowa caucuses, and to focus on some issues that I think are very important to Iowans and specifically to women here in Iowa. Before I get to that, now by the way, I can only hear some of what Roxanne said when I was in the back, but I hope she said, and I thought I heard her say, that in addition to just being here to talk and answer questions, if any of you, and specifically focused on women today, if any of you have just concerns you want to express, it doesn't have to be a question. I want to hear them. I want to listen. I don't want to just talk. I want to hear what you think the next president should be focused on. And before I get to substance, let me say just a quick word about a woman that matters a lot to me, my wife Elizabeth, who she sends you her love and affection and thanks for all of your prayers and support. And the short version is, under the circumstances, she's doing very well, doing very, very well. You know, I think that we have huge issues facing America, facing Iowa, and some of them are not close by, and some of them are very close by. I want to say a word first about the war in Iraq, just because some of you have seen that we've actually been running some advertisements, both here in Iowa, also in Washington, D.C., because I have a very clear view in my own mind about what the Congress needs to be doing about this war. And what the Congress needs to be doing about this war is they need to be ending this war. That's what the Congress needs. Power to do that, and the power is the funding authority, their constitutional authority to fund. And this is what I believe is happening. The Congress has done exactly what America asked them to do in the last election, right? In the last election, America said, we want a different course in Iraq. We don't want to do what we've been doing. And they put the Democrats in charge of the Congress. And what the Democrats what the country expects is for the Congress to follow their mandate. Well, they did exactly what they were asked to do. They sent the president a bill with a timetable for withdrawal, funding the troops, and the president of the United States, completely contrary to the will of America, vetoed it. And now it's back in the Congress. And it does appear that we don't have the votes to override the veto. But here's what I believe the Congress should do. They should submit another bill funding the troops to the president with a timetable for withdrawal. If he vetoes that, they should send him another one with a timetable. Congress needs to stand firm. This is not politics. We have men and women dying in Iraq. This is about war. And we need our leaders to be strong and to be courageous and do what's right. And it's absolutely clear to me what's right and what needs to be done. Now we talk specifically about some issues that affect women here in Iowa and all across the country. A lot of you have heard me talk about the issue of poverty in America, which I think is a huge moral issue. I've been running a poverty center at the University of North Carolina. 37 million Americans live in poverty, according to the government. My guess is that the actual number is significantly higher than that. But of that 37 million, 21 million are women. And I didn't have to hear that statistic to know it's true. If you go anywhere, which I've been doing the last few years, anywhere in America, to a poverty center or a community action center, mostly what you see are women. And I don't know how many places I've been, over 100, I know that, including a bunch of places right here in Iowa. And what you see are women, and mostly what you see are single mothers. I'll give you an example of you can't control babies. So listen, you don't need to leave on our account. What was I saying there? Yes. Let me tell you one story about something that I've heard so many stories, but they're all similar, unfortunately. But I was in Kansas City a couple of years ago now, and meeting with a group of women who were struggling. And one woman told me that she worked full time, made $9.50 an hour. She had no health care coverage, no pension, and she had several children. And she said they got to the place where they could not pay for the gasoline for the car and pay for the heat in their apartment. Couldn't do both. And so what they started, so she talked to her children about it. What they started doing was, because they had to use the cars for her to get to work, to help get the kids to school, etc. And so what they decided to do was they turned the heat off, or very low at night, and they'd all put all their clothes on and get under a bunch of blankets to try to stay warm. And then she told her children, she said, but you cannot tell I'm listening to the story, and she said, you cannot tell your teachers or the people at school that we're doing this, because they'll come get you, and they'll take you away from me. And then she looked at me and she said, how can this happen in America? How can somebody be working full time and this is the way we live? This is not okay. It's not okay. And I think there are a lot of things that we need to do about it. One of the things that thank you. I'm going to take a second and hawk my book. It's called Ending Poverty in America. I'm very proud of it. It came out in the last week or so, a little over a week. And basically it lays out an agenda for ideas about how to end poverty in this country. Now, I don't want to take too much credit. I edited this book along with two of my colleagues at the university. And there are lots of people who contributed to it. And their ideas are run the whole range. It's a very comprehensive agenda. But let me go through just a few of the things that's clear to me we can do. For example, we can end what I think is a national embarrassment and raise our national minimum wage, not just here. I'm proud of the fact that Democrats here in Iowa recognize that the minimum wage needs to be raised here. Over 60% of minimum wage workers in America are women. So that fits perfectly with the issue of poverty. We ought to expand the earned income tax credit to make it more available to more people. So we're funding the tax credit for earned income workers. And this is something that applies to women as well as men. We ought to make it easier for workers to organize unions in the workplace. One of the things I'm actually very proud of is that over the last few years, I've been all over this country organizing workers into unions. And I have seen, not read about, seen firsthand some of the abuses that take place. And violations of the law. The law is presently slanted against organizing campaigns. And what we need to do is we need comprehensive labor law reform in this country to create real democracy and fairness in the workplace. I have a really simple view about this. If you can join a political party by signing your name to a card, any worker in America should be able to join a union by doing exactly the same thing. We really want to lift people out of poverty, if we want to strengthen and grow the middle class, if we want to have economic security for more Americans, making it easier to organize, strengthening the organized labor movement is a crucial component of that. Absolutely crucial. Now, let me go further. We also have to make it easier, not harder, for kids to go to college. You know, what's happened is Bush and his gang have taken billions of dollars out of the federal budget for children to be able to go to college. This is crazy. Completely crazy. Here's my idea. It's called College for Everyone. And I'll tell you, it's something I talked about, Roxanne don't remember me talking about, I talked about it in the last campaign. But after the last election, I went and put it in place to see if it would work. So this College for Everyone, we've actually put in place in Eastern North Carolina. It's a very simple thing. It says to kids, graduate from high school, qualified to be in college, and commit that you'll work when you're there, at least 10 hours a week. And we pay for your tuition and books. Very straightforward. This is not a government thing, like not now. We raised the money for it privately. Elizabeth and I helped with it. But the idea was